What advice would you have for a novice instructional designer, the small, and we get a lot of these small one-person learning departments,
Mhm.
and these guys want to also make quality learning like Allen Interactions, but what are the fundamental knowledge or skills and attitude that they need to do this?
And what we would say whenever you start, taking the attitude, at least to us, what works
Yeah,
is okay, great. I see all the content, all the learning objectives, which is most often knowledge based.
yeah,
They need to know all these things. We would say that when you're first starting out, and this is something that's more from a common sense, can we talk about the mistakes they would make if they don't know this? And if you just take that first step of going from knowledge to mistakes and
hmm
from mistakes to consequences, that could be just done in a spreadsheet or in Word or on a whiteboard. Uh, and from that, going, how do we give them an interaction where they are just as likely to make a mistake as they are to get it right?
cool.
And so it might just be using a storyline or a Captivate and giving them a series of multiple choice questions and, have them given a situation and say, what would you choose and why? And assuming that my first round, I'm going to keep a lot of it perhaps in a resource document. And then once you've got that down, then start to build out and say, okay, well, now I need to put a little more content in. Perhaps my students aren't comfortable yet. They want to know a little more before they do this.
hmm
And then you can start pulling more and more into the e-learning. So I'd say the number one attitude is assume your e-learning module is going to be very tight and it's going to be very, oh, the word escaped me, but yeah, very concise.
Okay.
And try to not use up the whole time and budget and say that if we have any budget left over, we could maybe do more topics, assuming that what's going to happen is after you build it, they're going to say, well, we want to put more knowledge around it. So always start with the interaction. Perhaps you would start with the assessment
Yeah.
and say, this is what we want them to score, because you could take the assessment and start adding a hint button. You could add tries to the assessment.
Yes.
And now you've started to create learning. And the very last thing you do is the page turner stuff.
hmm
And we have some trouble with the client saying, trust us, we can build a tutorial, which is the 10 pages of next buttons to explain how to do it.
Yeah.
Let's focus on the interaction first. I would say that if you start out, that would be where we would start.
Okay.
Because if not, you're starting with the writing and how do I get this 30-page manual on a screen? What are my bullet points? What's my graphic? And then you're writing multiple choice questions. What are my distractors?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's just hard.
Yeah, it is.
And that's a 10-year, you're doing this for 10 years, you get better at it. But I think this approach of going, can we just, if you were going to one-on-one train someone how to do your job, how would you do it? You would not put them in your office and give them a PowerPoint presentation. You would probably say, hey, come with me while I do my job.
Yeah.
And then I might ask you, what do you think you would do? Or if I had an unlimited budget, I'd say, everyone in my office, you are now pretending to be customers. This person is going to try to do their job. Let's, trial by fire. And so I would say in e-learning, if you could attempt that, assuming you won't get there. So don't try to build a simulation game right off. Don't try to completely simulate what the work environment is, but just come up with a series of multiple choice questions that would cause a learner to think, have to make decisions, and have to do some research as a starting point, and then build out.
Awesome. That's great advice. It's called baby steps, small wins.
Yes. If you're a movie person, did you see What About Bob?
What about Bob? No, I didn't.
Bill Murray, and he had obsessive compulsive disorder, and Richard Dreyfuss was a psychologist that tried to go take a vacation.
No, I didn't.
Okay, you need to watch that movie because there's a book in there called Baby Steps.
Okay.
And the whole thing is Bill Murray thinks he's in therapy and he's taking baby steps, and Richard Dreyfuss is trying to get him to go away and leave him alone while he's on vacation.
Okay, I will make sure to watch that.
You'll probably have to edit that out of the interview, but you
no,
should.
not at all. And you know what? I love Bill Murray.